All right, welcome to the Leave Hungry podcast. I'm Carlos Fernandez, your host, and I'm here with my good best friend, Jacob Whitehead. What's going on, man? How you doing?
From the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. It's a good friend.
Yeah, no.
It's just where we're at.
What do you mean, bro? Why can't I call you good friend,
I
best
told you,
friend?
we went through
what
this
I'm
a couple episodes ago. There's stages to it. There's like acquaintance, there's friend, there's good friend, and then there's best friend.
Okay.
And I'm in that good mid tier. I'm a good mid tier friend.
Yeah, I think so.
So I'm not a best friend.
No, I'm joking, bro. You one of my best friends. You were one of my groomsmen in my wedding, bro.
That's
Was I a
facts.
groomsman at your wedding?
Bro, you had 10.
All right.
You had 10. I had 5, and 3 of them were my brothers.
I had 10?
You had 10 groomsmen.
I have a lot of good friends.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to have all my people that I wanted
I'm
to.
joking. All right, here we go. Bro, we got a couple of questions that we're going to be chopping up in the next couple of episodes. We are going to do a book study coming soon, but we're just going to be prepping that. So just be on the lookout for that. But I'm just going to, we're going to have a series of questions, and I really want to talk about this today. And so this is going to be not a normal conversation, but I think it's going to be a good conversation. Okay? And so are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Today I want to talk about alcohol. And I just want us to talk through, like, how should Christians approach this topic of alcohol? Like, should Christians get drunk? Is it okay to drink in public? Like as believers and as followers of Jesus, what should we do around that? And I think it's just a good thing to talk about, because I don't think a lot of people are talking about it. So, can we chop it up?
Let's chop it up.
All right, let's do it, man. All right, so if somebody comes up to you, Jay, and they say, yo, I'm following Jesus, but I love to drink, but I'm trying to figure out, like, what is good, what isn't, like help me out. What would you tell them? How would you go about it? Blah, blah, blah. Like, what would you say?
If someone was following Jesus and they came up to me and they're trying to discern if they should or shouldn't drink.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. This person. Yeah. This is a good one. I would say first and foremost, when it comes to not sensitive but controversial topics.
Yeah.
Not all of them. Some of them are black and white. A lot of them have to do a lot more with the matter of the heart than they do with, like, here's the one rule, follow this thing. It is black or white. You can't do this. Check this box. Don't check this box. I think when it comes to drinking, depending on your background, like, we carry a lot of things into this conversation. Like, I know people in my family, they would hate I'm having this conversation right
Really?
now. They would hate it, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, you caught me off guard with this one, bro. Yeah, because I'm thinking about if they listen to this, they would hate we're having this conversation.
Yeah.
But I mean, Do we really want to do this as an episode?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we'll do it then.
Do you not want to?
I'm down. I just had to resolve myself of how I'm going to answer this, because
I'm just saying, you would. I want you to answer it like you're across the table from somebody.
Yeah.
And somebody's really asking you this question.
Yeah.
Yo, I'm a Christian now, and I know I got to live differently, but there's this tension. Like, what do I do with alcohol? You know, like, how do I live in this realm? Like,
my first question to them would be, okay, why alcohol? Like, why do you want alcohol?
that's a good question. Yeah.
Hey,
that's a
like,
good
is that
question.
just because, like, is it because it's something you've already done in your past so much, and you just started following Jesus, and it's something you associate as this is what I view a good time. This is something I run to when, I feel sad or depressed or whatever it is. I think you do have to get down in the motive, because alcohol can be a slippery slope, because it can be one. You really do have to get down to, like, why are you doing the things that you're doing? Especially as a newer believer, because if you might carry baggage, you might have family trauma with alcohol, that you might have an abusive parent that and you ran to alcohol because that's what you saw them do. Again, you might associate celebration and a time of fun with alcohol. Yeah. Granted, Jesus turned water into wine, and it was good wine too.
It was.
In John chapter 2, and it wasn't grape juice.
It wasn't grape juice.
Hot take to the Southern Baptists out there. It was not grape juice.
It wasn't grape juice.
No, it was real wine, and he saved the best wine for last, and he loved to party. That was his first miracle. Was at a party, at a wedding, at a celebration. So Bible is not discouraging drinking. Definitely 100% black or white. Being drunk is a sin.
But that's what it discourages. It discourages drunkenness.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it discourages drunkenness, and I mean, I think there's a ton of reasons why. We're supposed to be sober-minded. We're supposed to be self-control. At the end of the day, it's the same thing with alcohol, with sex, with any desire. Nothing's supposed to master us. We are surrendered to the power of the Holy Spirit, and so, in some sense, by His power, we master our flesh. Our flesh doesn't master us anymore. Jesus released us from the power and penalty of sin, and the desires. Like, we still have desires, but they don't dominate us anymore. We don't say yes to them.
Yeah.
And so, I do think that alcohol can be a gateway to a lot of damage. It can also be a doorway to a lot of great conversations with people that you can have great conversations with, because there are people who don't know Jesus that drink, and I could get people over to my house that don't know Jesus that drink, and be in a safe, contained environment, have great gospel conversation with them that kind of remove the wall of oh, you're a pastor, oh, you're a church leader, oh, this is a churchy thing, because there is a lot of stigma around alcohol. So
yeah. No, that's a good answer.
Yeah. So
I mean, I like it, bro. I mean, I get this question a lot. And so for me, one of the staples, if you want to drink as a Christian, I think the question that you have to ask yourself, and the question you really got to answer is this helping me in my relationship with Jesus? And then I have a rule. I need to be sober enough to share the gospel in detail. In detail. In really good detail. And I'm not saying I'm always talking about Jesus, but I want to talk about the integral parts of it. And so that's my standard. Also, I know that I'm surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses, so I have to give up more things as a leader than other people do. And so because I have a lot of people watching me. So yes, I can give up alcohol in very, specific moments so that other people can be encouraged, right? And so for me, it goes back to the motive, like, why do you want to drink? If you want to drink because you love the taste, and you're just this connoisseur of wines and beers, and I think that's okay. But if you're drinking to hide something, you're drinking to run from something, you're drinking to feel something, then those are terrible reasons why drinking alcohol should be your go-to. You know, and so those are the things that we just need to think about as followers of Jesus, and also as leaders, because when I was younger, I would never say that everybody's a leader, but now as I get older, everybody's a leader. Like, you are a disciple maker, and if you're a disciple, you're a leader. And so you're discipling somebody, and somebody's watching you, and they're watching you as you follow Jesus, and then you're supposed to say, follow me as I follow Jesus. And so I want to set a good example, and so I want to always be alert. And I think that's what the scripture says too, like, always be sober-minded, always on alert. Like, and so for me, I want to be on alert. I want to be able to share the gospel in detail with others in any position. And so I know my limit. And I don't go past it. And so for me, and that I'm talking about, I don't even like getting tipsy, because that's already, that's not being sober. Yeah. And I remember being young and wanting to get drunk and all these things. And the reasons for that was because I wanted to have fun. And now I tell people, me having fun is spending time with Jesus and telling others about him. So my fun is already reorganized, right? It's like, it's just different. Like, it's not the same as it used to be. And so I think for us as believers, as followers, like, we need to understand that we are here for a greater purpose. And every moment can be a gospel moment, especially you're in the darkest places sometimes, bars. Your parties, like these things that people are coming in here with heavy weight. I remember we were sent down at a cigar lounge, and this lady who was intoxicated came up to us and just started talking to us. And we knew that she was intoxicated, and she was just sharing her heart with us and talking about how people left her and all this stuff. And I just want to be able in those moments to share the good news. We prayed for her, we invited her to church, and then that was it. And so I think that if you aren't ready for moments like that in these dark places, then you're missing opportunities. And so I think for you, the motive question is so stinking good. Like, just ask, like, why do you want to drink? Is it to bury something? Is it to forget about something? Is it to drown yourself in something? Like, if those are the reasons, then man, you should probably talk to somebody and not drink your feelings away. You should probably talk through your feelings and not try to drink them away. And so for us, I think that we just need to be very sensitive. And then you have to get to the point, as a leader, you might have to sacrifice some things. Yeah. Like, if you can't control yourself when you drink, like if you don't have any self-control, then you need to stay away from it. Yeah. You know? And that's just different for each person. For me, alcohol is not my thing. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, no one's going to entice me to drink more. I just have my set rules, and I'm going to follow them. And anybody can call them legalism or whatever you want, but I just know this. I want to get home. Yeah. I want to get home, and I want to take myself home. That's it. Like, those are my things. And then I want to be able to share the gospel in detail. I want to be sober enough to share the gospel in great detail. Yeah. And I know that I just cannot do that intoxicated, tipsy, or anything like that. So I can enjoy a drink. I love hard ciders. I think they taste amazing, but they're a craving every now and then, and they're just something that, man, every 6 to 8 months maybe. But to be honest, man, I also like Coke Zero. I love water. You know, like, I'm drinking because I like the taste of stuff, not because of what it can give me, you know, or what it can do to my body, my mind, all those things. And then I just think that if you are struggling with alcohol, then you definitely need to talk to people about it. Like, you need to share your struggle with folks. You need to be able to tell them what's really going on, and then really get back to the motive. Like, why are you reaching for a beer every time you get home instead of going to God in prayer? Like, are you just dependent on it? Yeah. Because we're supposed to be dependent on God. So anything we become dependent on is already bad. Yeah. And so just go ahead and just begin to ask yourself those questions, and I think it'll bring some freedom. But then I love the fact when we get this question, when people walk up to me and they ask me about drinking, and I'll be able to share that, like, be able to be sober enough to share the gospel. And that already enlightens them. They're like, I never thought about it like that. Because we're put on here for a purpose. Yeah. You know? So I'm not telling you that not to drink. I'm just saying be sober enough to share the gospel in detail. That you can walk somebody through creation, fall, redemption, restoration. That you can tell them about their future, right? That you can tell them about their identity here. That you can tell them what Jesus has done for you. And I'm not talking about like stumbling through it. I'm talking about that you can really explain it. Right. And so does that make sense what I'm trying to say? Yeah. Would you say that's a decent answer? What do you think?
Yeah, no, I do. I think that's where it's so hard, because it's like even someone who's even a touch tipsy could probably cohesively share the gospel. Like, I mean, you might feel a little slow or lethargic, but you wouldn't stop your communication pattern. I think motive is the best one with this one, because some people, like, I know some people claim to follow Jesus, love him. They don't think getting tipsy is, like, they think that's probably when they should stop. For me, if I ever get tipsy, I'm thinking like, no, I drank too much. They're thinking that's the line to stop at. I'm thinking I've passed the line if I ever get tipsy. That's just my conviction. That's my conviction.
I think that's my conviction.
And the hard part is, you know when you're probably drinking too much. Sometimes though, like, again, with alcohol, especially if you're drinking like whiskeys or bourbons like that, like, it can creep up on you, and it might be like, oh man, I might have had this much, but I haven't had, because it depends on how much you ate that day, how much water you had, if you're really dehydrated. And so, like, all it is, you're stewarding something that, I mean, dude, Proverbs actually says drink is a gift. Ecclesiastes says, hey man, eat, drink, and be merry. Like, again, it's celebrative. I think it serves its purpose in communal environments. I think it is something that obviously people have been doing. And I'm not talking like, hey, let's knock down a 15 pack of brewskis. Like, I'm talking like, hey, let's be sensible, but we don't have to, like, now, let me finish this. Let's be sensible. There are environments, though, that abstaining is wise. Yeah. There are personal things for you. If you do know, again, if you are like drinking in a community and you've struggled with alcoholism, you're recovering, you're walking through that, you probably shouldn't be drinking. And the grace of God is that you have enough self-control to say, Hey, I don't need to drink in this environment. I don't need to do what they do because I can still enjoy water. I can still enjoy. I don't have to have this.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Like, hey, do you have to have this? And it should be any environment. I should be good with it or good without it.
Yeah.
That's what ultimately you're fighting for. And if you're in a place where you're not good with it, get to a place where you're good without it. You know what I'm saying? And so like there are certain environments, like even for me, my own personal conviction. I think Romans 14 has a lot to say about this. About, hey, like there's people with different convictions. You have Paul saying, hey, as a Christ follower, we have a lot of liberties, probably a lot more than maybe even other religious views would have. Paul says, dude, like I can kind of do whatever I want except sin. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be honest with you. But if something causes another person to stumble, maybe people do have a background where they think even drinking, I don't think it's biblical, but they think drinking is a sin. I'm not going to, just because I believe the scripture doesn't teach that, I'm not going to start drinking around them being like, oh yeah, like enticing them to anger. He says, look, there's strong conviction, there's weak conviction. That was in the context of food and drink.
Yeah.
Paul was actually having that conversation about of like, look, you have the freedom as a Christian. At the end of the day, your freedom is not meant for yourself, though. Your freedom is meant to say you're free to lay your life down. You're free to give up things for the sake of another person. And if there is someone who really wrestles with you drinking, you probably should never drink around them. You probably shouldn't talk about drinking around them, especially if they've, again, addicts.
Yeah, you don't have to convince them.
Correct.
That you're right.
Yeah.
In this sense. Now there's some other things that you need to convince them.
Yeah.
This is not always. This can't align to some other things. Well, I just feel convicted about blah blah blah. This specific thing, like, is just so sensitive that you need to be sensitive to it.
Yep.
And so and then also, bro, I would say like, if you never drink again,
You're good.
You're good.
Yeah.
Like, just know that. Like,
it really is and this is to be cautious. Again, God doesn't give bad gifts. But we also live in a fallen world where things have been counterfeited and can be abused to become what were never meant to be.
Yep.
You have to be mindful with this, though, because it can be destructive. It can create habits. And I would say the reason why some people are so against it is because, as opposed to other things that aren't good for your body, this one can intoxicate you. This one can change the way you act, and this one can cause a lot of hurt.
Yeah.
And so you're stewarding something, and you need to be overly mindful as a believer, because it is really easy, especially if you're drinking in celebratory moments. We have to know the Christian life it can be exhausting. It's exhausting to always die to ourselves. It's exhausting to get up every day when we're tired, we have nothing to give, and still give more nonetheless. And so there are going to be moments in our life where we're going to be exhausted. We're going to be tired. We might be around some good friends. We might be drinking. Number one, already when you're around friends, words can be many. That's what Proverbs says. Words are many, which means gossip's easier. You start letting your guard down with gossip. You start letting your guard down. Why not have another drink? You've had a long week. You had a hard day. Why not have another drink? You serve so many people. Like, you need
but those are the lies.
Those are the lies. But I'm saying that's why when you're drinking, you almost have to be more on guard.
Yeah.
Because if you let yourself slip, it doesn't.
So many things can happen.
It takes you. You can get to a point where drinking becomes its own personality for you. It's dragging you along.
Oh, you're the funny guy when you drink. Everybody wants you to. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's why you got to be responsible.
Yeah.
Like when you were a child, you used to do those things, but when you became a man, when you became an adult, you don't do those things anymore. Yeah. And so I think the responsibility, like, you just have to be responsible, and I love the fact that you're a steward. Like, think about it. And this is where I always go to it. Like, I don't need to drink to have fun. That's my conclusion. Like, that's it. Like, I just don't need it. It's not even a thought in my mind, when I go to parties, like, or anything like that. But I'm 32 years old. I've been following Jesus, and the only thing I need to follow him is his spirit.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, I don't need assistance for anything other than the Spirit of God. And so for me, I just think that when we begin to think about just alcohol, and if you're even questioning, like, can I drink or should I drink, I think you should just, take some time off from it.
Yeah, for sure.
So that you can process, especially if you're, like, young. And, like, I just think that there should be some time where you just relax and mature and grow, so that when you need to exercise self-control, you can.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, they just don't take breaks. And then what happens is they go into these situations, and socially they feel pressure, to do these things. And it's just because you walked into them not ready.
Yeah.
And also make a decision before you go. Already make a decision like, hey, I'm not going to do this if I go to this place, right? And I already know, like, if I drive far, I'm just not drinking alcohol.
Yep.
I don't care. If I have somebody riding with me, like I'm the designated driver, I don't care. Like, and the cool thing is that God has given me so much self-control at this point that I've already made my mind up.
Yeah.
There's no one gonna sway me at these parties.
Yeah.
And as a Christian, you're gonna go to parties. You're gonna go to a birthday party. You're gonna go to a retirement party. You're gonna go to a wedding. You're gonna go to all these places where you can exercise self-control. And so for me, I've already made my mind up before I go.
Yep, that's a good.
You know, and and that's what I'm saying. Like, again, I love the fact that you said, people can probably talk when they're tipsy or anything like that. I think for me, like, I know I can't explain the gospel very well, and so I don't remember the last time I was tipsy.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's always, again, be overly cautious. Don't be scared of it. It's a gift, but also be overly cautious.
But be wise.
Be wise with it. Yeah. And I think what you said was so good, because Paul talks about, same verse, Romans 14, anything that doesn't proceed from faith is sin. And so if you have a conviction about something, or you're not cleaned up enough in your conscience from a standpoint of, like, you don't know if you should or shouldn't, well, to abstain usually doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
So
if not gonna do
if you're like, man, I feel like there's something, like, if you're not convincing yourself that you can drink, this is what Paul was talking about. Paul's like, dude, I'm convinced that, again, anything outside of sin, it's not wrong. But if someone thinks it is wrong, he's like, I'm not going to encourage them to do something different against their conscience and their conviction. So there is a side there that we have to be wise. If we're not convinced that, hey, I can drink one drink, walk away, be fine with this, and it's not going to make me feel, my conscience won't feel seared, that's fine. For a lot of people, though, they don't actually land there, and they don't need to be drinking just because everyone else is doing it. And to your point, I love what you said, because now you're actually getting to the point was you decided how you were going to drink before you left, and then you get there and you switched up. That's the problem. Not the drink that was the problem. It's that you can't follow through what you said. That's a good exposure of, like, man, I said I was going to be a certain way, and I caved.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, then you need to spend some time evaluating and fasting. And I say fasting in the food sense. I'd say literally the discipline of fasting, but also abstaining from drink, because at the end of the day, you're trying to warrant a gift of the Holy Spirit, of the Holy Spirit, self-control. Dude, we're not supposed to be mastered by anything except
Nothing.
Jesus himself.
Well, that's why you got to be careful what you're dependent on.
Yeah.
Like, if you're dependent on alcohol, man, you need to ask yourself why.
Yeah.
And then you need to replace alcohol with Jesus.
Yeah.
You really, and you need to surrender that. And so I think, take some time off, y'all. Like, this, and I know that some people have been walking down this road for a while, and taking some time off is very hard. They feel withdrawals and all these things, and this is where you need community around you. Like, alone, this is very difficult, but together, it is possible. And you got to hear that. Like, it is possible if you have godly community around you to stop a sin, to really try to abstain from something that's hurting you. Because I'll tell you right now, alcohol out of control, it does not only hurt you, it hurts people around you.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier.
It hurts your family, your friends. It distances you, hurts your relationship with so many other people, because it's something you become dependent on, and then you start becoming a different person. Yeah. And so we just, as believers, man, you really got to take a good survey of your life, and we're just here talking about this to help anybody. I just think that this is a good conversation because a lot of people don't talk about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I think I can think of someone who alcohol has become like a safe place for them. Like, maybe they feel so alone that that's their only friend.
Yeah.
Like that space.
And that's the reality that we're living in right now, because, I mean, we're the loneliest people to ever walk the earth. I mean, we're so connected, right? Virtually.
Yep.
But in the real world,
we don't know anyone.
We don't have any relationships.
Yeah. And so alcohol is like the only space that can drown out just the frustrations with self, the stresses of the day-to-day life, the troubles that we all experience and walk through, maybe even troubles that not everyone has walked through, like stuff from our past and trauma, and so we're running to escape things. And I do love what you said. Like there has to be some real encouragement, like just pastoral encouragement of, number one, like someone who's been down this road knows the bottle never fills them up. You empty a bottle and you still feel more empty than ever before.
Yeah. It doesn't help you.
It doesn't help you. It might block you. It might make you forget 6-7 hours worth of a space. You wake up feeling worse than you did before you went to bed, you know? And like, that's just the invitation to someone that Jesus is ushering in of like, there's only one fountain of living water and there's only one thing that's going to fill you. You need to drink from him. You need to just receive what he's done for you on the cross. And you'll never be thirsty again. And that's not to say that your appetite won't go towards that. It's not to say that like, because of what we've done, we don't have patterns that have been woven into us that affect us. And not that you won't feel a draw towards that anymore. But I think the goal is not even just, hey, follow Jesus to get rid of alcohol. No, follow Jesus to experience true and new life. Because the reason you run to alcohol is to stow away what you feel like you're lacking, and you only find it in Jesus. Like he's the bread of life.
No, I love that, man. Something you said that triggered a thought in me was, you're not trying to forget things, you're trying to get over things. And there's a big difference. Yeah. Like I think we go to these things that we depend on, or the things that we think they're going to help us just forget for a while. But you don't want to forget. Like that's a lie. Like forgetting doesn't help you. Getting over things helps you. Yeah, healing. Right? Healing, actual healing. And so Jesus is the only person that can do that. The bottle can't do that. The cigarette can't do that. The videos you watch that you think is going to fill you with love can't do that. The even some of these hobbies that we do, that we try to do just to forget about the day. You know, the vacation's not going to do that. Only Jesus is going to heal the soul. You know, and so for us, like just understanding that just will help us out. And I repeat to myself, I'm not trying to forget this. I'm trying to get over it.
Yeah.
And only by the power of the Holy Spirit that I can do that, you know?
Well, I think that's the beauty of the gospel too. Like in the resurrection scene, we don't see a perfect body Jesus. We see a scarred Jesus that Thomas said, like, I need to put my fingers through your hands.
Yeah.
Like the way Jesus worked, we've probably mentioned this in several podcasts. God doesn't play by the rules we think we should play by. We think he should defeat death by, never letting it happen, but he actually has a better plan for it. He actually says, death is now the doorway to life. Let me show you how great my power is, that when you die, now you're going into everlasting life. He just doesn't play by the rules, and so he uses suffering to refine us. He uses our scars and our past hurts. As we surrender ourselves to him, he begins to use it for healing, not just for ourselves, but it becomes healing for others. Like we get to show off our scars where people say, can I put my finger through your wound? And that's what Jesus did for Thomas, and that's what led him to faith. Literally, he said, my Lord and my God. First one in Scripture to say, my Lord and my God. Yeah. And so like there's an encouragement to say, you might be in there, you might feel so depressed, you might feel so dark, you might feel like, again, you can't kick an addiction or whatever it is. Number one, I love what you said earlier. Go through it with community, confess and be open, but never stop running to Jesus. If you got to come bloody, you come broken. He's so near to sinners and sufferers.
Yeah,
he deals gently. Beginning of Hebrews 5, he deals gently with the ignorant and the wayward, or those who are downcast, or the ignorant, those who don't know better, or those who do know better and they've done something different.
Yeah.
He's gentle with those. He's near to the lowly. Only thing that qualifies you is your brokenness. He asks you just to bring the pieces to him, and he's going to deal with it.
Yeah, and he's going to give you something that alcohol can never give you, that the things that we run to will never give you. And so Jesus is just going to provide something for your heart, mind, and soul that just the things of this world can never give you. You're looking for peace in all the wrong places.
Yeah,
you can only find peace in him. And so, man, I just love that. And that same passage in John, when Thomas is saying that, my Lord and my God, Jesus shows up and he says, peace be with you. Peace be with you. That he's bringing peace.
Yeah.
And so when you walk to Jesus and go to him, he's going to give you peace. And I don't know who said this, but it's been something I've just been telling people a lot lately, is I say, stop running from God and start wrestling with God. That we are just in this pattern of running away. We run away from our problems. We run away from people. We run away from God. And I'm not going to lie, our world is making it so easy to do that.
Yeah.
We just unfollow, we unfriend, we do all these things. And so we are just conditioned to run away from things. where that's not where growth is. If you want to grow, you wrestle through these things.
Yeah.
You know, you go through them head on, and I just like, don't run from God, wrestle with him.
Yeah.
Talk to him about your questions, your doubts. Don't try to forget them. Try to get over them,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I think the only person that can help you forgive some of the things that happen in your life is Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
Forgiveness is freedom.
Yeah.
And so I love the fact that we were able to talk about this. I hope that this encouraged somebody. I hope this helped somebody, because I know for me, in my context, a lot of young adults have been asking, like, what do you do? And I love the fact that we said motive. Motive is, check the motive, you know, like what's the shadow behind this? Why do you want to do it? Two, like, make sure you understand why you're here. You're here to share the gospel.
Yeah.
Be ready and be always sober and alert to do that. So like, don't allow anything to get in the way.
Yeah.
All right. Don't allow anything to get in the way. And then if you are in a season where that is the thing that you have been depending on, man, find godly people to walk with you. I love the fact that you said confess. Tell them what's really going on. You know, nobody knows what happens in your house at night.
Yeah.
Nobody, unless you tell them.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what's going on in your mind unless you tell them. And so talk to people, and godly people are going to love you, man. They're going to walk with you. They're going to bear each other's burdens. I mean, there's so many things that are going to happen in real godly community. So tell people what's going on. And so, like I said, man, I hope this conversation helped you guys. We love you guys, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Peace.